Hey, everybody. We're about to get started, but before that, we have an ad.
Yes, this week's episode is presented by Eternal Confidence, an interview series by Homesick Productions, now available on YouTube.
Yes, Eternal Confidence explores what we believe and why. It features interviews with people of faith as well as people who left their faith behind.
It's kind of like what we do, but probably more serious.
Yeah, it's true. I liked the vibe they gave off. I thought it was very similar to I think what we're going for. They're not biased.
Yeah.
We kind of are, but still try to show that here's another.
I'm fine being biased. Eternal Confidence brings an unbiased perspective, taking a no stance, thereby inviting the audience to respond to the various narratives with their own beliefs. That's great. I mean, it's nice to have an unbiased look at these things.
Yeah,
we try and be impartial, but we don't always succeed.
I think what we're trying to do is hey, we're trying not to be biased, but here's our biases, but they're I really liked they did that one where it was the minister father talking to their gay pagan daughter, and that was I
really enjoyed that one, and they're focused on being both empathetic and honest, and it's a candid look at genuine beliefs, and it helps people explore their own belief system, as well as the other side.
Yeah, go check them out. Let them know that hey, believe it or not, send us.
Yeah, and they're just starting their second season, so
yeah,
I mean, go check it out. There's a whole season to start with,
and then
if you like it,
watch
season 2.
Watch season 1. Watch season 2. And then, check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. If you're into this show, I think you'll be into that.
And hey, when you go check it out, leaving your comment that Believe It or Not sent you, because that's good for everyone.
America needs a tidal wave of the old-time religion.
I have sinned against you.
How dare you! We have no need to doubt God.
The heart of Babylon is preparing the nations to receive the Antichrist.
I didn't even build that house with money from the church. I built it with money from my book.
I don't make this stuff up.
Repenting of your sin.
It is a moral issue.
They got together and swore a pact to the devil.
I just enjoy seeing people worship, praising God.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to
Believe It or Not,
the show where we believe it
or not,
or do we believe it?
Or we could believe it.
That we would get copyright.
That's true. Ripley's and
copyrighted.
Yeah. I'm Trevor Poelman.
And I'm Damien Doepping.
And today,
we're
talking about the dead.
Oh yeah, like the living undead or
the Grateful Dead.
The living dead.
The Grateful Dead. Yeah.
This is a Deadhead episode. Yeah. I didn't know they were very religious. I thought they were much more getting high.
Yeah, that's true.
And maybe spiritual.
Probably.
That's a weird thing that we should probably look at too. Is people who are I'm not religious. I'm spiritual.
Yeah. College Humor has a great video about that of the church for people who are spiritual but not religious. It's so great.
It's I feel it's a very strange distinction.
It really is. But speaking of which, we did the spiritualism episode back in Halloween of 2018.
That's true.
So there's going to be a lot of overlap with that episode, I think.
I think so.
Because that's kind of what started mediums, but I just wanted to dive a little bit deeper into mediums and psychic mediums and what they do and why they piss us off.
They're something else.
Yeah, they really are.
To say the least.
Yeah. I loved one of mine. So this is, I don't know, probably the first time I've mentioned on the podcast, but my dad passed away recently. So it's kind of, dealing with a lot of grief and dealing with a lot of that stuff. A lot of different people deal with grief in different ways.
Yeah.
A loved one of mine went to see a medium to try to talk to him and my mom and kind of sent me the transcript and stuff of their conversation. And it was a tough one to read because I know that,
right?
She's just being scammed. And it was, I tried to kind of reach out to her and say, this isn't good. But also my dad, a very religious man, would have been very against anybody seeing a medium.
Yeah.
So I thought that was ironic, but it was also you get to a point where I didn't want to push it any further because I was like, okay, you're finding comfort in this and you're getting your defenses up. So it's like, I don't want to.
It's a hard thing to navigate.
Yeah.
I've had this argument with people before in similar kind of things where they're like, well, if it's making people happy, why do you care?
Yeah.
It's like, because it's dangerous.
Yeah. Your whole job is targeting people who are grieving.
Yeah. You're taking advantage of people's pain and sorrow for your own personal gain. Yeah. And I mean, it's not just mediums, but in similar kind of veins.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about like a lot of different like healers and
like
naturopathic kind of shit where they're like, this is the truth. This is what you need to do. And it's just taking advantage of people in vulnerable times.
Yeah.
And I think that's very horrible and very dangerous. And even if it is making people happy, I think the net gain is much less than being okay with that.
Yeah, it's true. So let's dive, I don't know, into like the history of mediums and people trying to talk to the dead.
One thing before that, they give you a transcript now?
Yeah. Yeah, she got a transcript of the conversation.
It's like going to see an episode of Oprah.
Yeah, exactly. To dive into that a little bit more, I asked, the first question I asked is, did she have your name ahead of time? Mm-hmm. And did you sit down with her face-to-face, or was it over the phone? I didn't ask how much she paid because I didn't want to get there yet. So she sent me a screen cap of a conversation her friend had with the medium beforehand. And it was basically, hey, my friend wants to see you. And she said, okay, great. Just give me her name first. I need that first. So obviously she Googled her.
You would think now that would be much more obvious.
Yeah.
That people can look stuff up about you.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of the
very
things
easily.
is like she knew exactly the day my dad died. And it's like, yeah, well, that's like the first thing you're going to find is his obituary.
I could probably find it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, so then that gives you like all the relatives and stuff like that, and I don't know. It just Unscathing Atheist. Noah did one of his diatribes on why you can't debunk people's beliefs sometimes, even if it's like someone's like, "Oh, I went to a chiropractor," and you're like, well, "Actually," like people's defenses get like up right away, and it's really hard to like break those things because once that crumbles, like what else is going to crumble? Like what else are you gonna?
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
And so it's tough. So I just said, I'm going to shut up now. I'll record an episode about it, and it's up to you if you want to listen. So if you're listening, I love you very much, and I'm just worried that you're being taken advantage of.
That's fair. I mean, it's hard because, again, most of the time it's people in a vulnerable position or people who are in pain for one reason or another.
Yeah.
For chiropractic, I'm using that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So when they have something that they feel is working or is doing something for them, it's hard to convince them that maybe it's not doing as much good as they think it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and it's also hard to admit you're wrong.
Yeah, it really is.
And I think that's a problem that a lot of people who disbelieve a lot of these things is that they are so convinced that they are right sometimes.
Yeah.
That it can be very off-putting.
I can be that person.
I could totally be that person as well.
Actually,
and it's not necessarily helpful.
Yeah, let's talk about the history a little bit of the mediums and why people want to talk to the dead. Obviously, people want to talk to the dead because they miss them. Or
I thought they want to talk to the dead because skeletons are cool.
That's true.
Yeah,
and also like maybe they have info like how to find the treasure. So you want to?
Oh yeah, that's true. Like where did he bury it? Where did he bury it? Exactly. Or like your uncle probably has a few hidden stashes. So you gotta.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm trying to find my uncle's treasure.
His box of Playboys? Yes, his box of Playboys.
Of course his box of Playboys.
What do you think treasure means?
I don't know. I said blocks of Playboys.
In the Bible, King Saul.
Yep.
He went to talk to a medium or a psychic or a witch. It depends on the translation, but most modern translations will call her the medium of Endor or the witch of Endor. And
the moon of Endor.
From the moon of Endor, the forest moon of Endor, because he wanted to talk to Samuel, the prophet Samuel, which this was in 1 Samuel that Samuel was already dead.
Wait, Samuel was already dead in the first Samuel?
Yeah, in first Samuel died, but there's still a second Samuel. So explain that one.
I don't know. The Bible's small enough to explain that.
No,
I thought you would know.
I don't know why they would do that.
It was the second one like a prequel?
No.
Oh, he's still dead.
He's still dead through the whole thing.
Okay.
But yeah, so Samuel yells. Samuel does come back. The medium brings Samuel back. Samuel yells at Saul and is like, "You're not supposed to go see mediums. You're not supposed to bring people back from the dead." So in the Bible, according to the Bible, it works. You're just not supposed to do it.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm saying like it works.
Yeah,
don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah. The Bible also says that you should be put to death if you go see a medium. I don't know what to take away from that.
I feel like that's but I get why the Bible would be like, don't do this. But at the same time, I feel like that's just a recipe for making people want to do it more.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, the more you tell people not to do it, they're like, well, I'm going to go see a medium because it's naughty.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, like, what wouldn't you be put to death for in the Bible, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Wearing different fibers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's
mixed
that was
fibers.
Mixed fibers.
I think I'd be dead right now.
Yeah.
I feel I'm wearing like a cotton poly blend.
Yeah, same. And then in the 19th century, with spiritualism, the Fox sisters, that whole deal, seances and stuff, it became pretty popular. And
was it Milton Bradley who made the Ouija board?
The Ouija board was a big part of it. Yeah, Ouija board becomes popular, and people start using that as like, oh, everybody's interested in talking to the dead. So businesses started up. Yeah,
I've never used a Ouija board.
Me neither. Let's do one. Yeah. I thought about buying one for like Halloween parties and stuff like that.
I almost bought one. There was a toy store, not this Christmas, the one before, in the Eaton Center.
Yeah.
And they had stacks, and I mean stacks of Stranger Things Ouija boards.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
They must have had like 200 of them, and they were just trying to get rid of them because they were all like $10.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to get one, and then I forgot, and then I didn't go back.
Oh, yeah.
They might still have a few.
Yeah, let's go
I
back.
doubt they sold 200 Stranger Things Ouija boards.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when I was a teenager, my brother was applying for jobs, and he applied at a toy store, and then he asked for the resume back because he said he realized they had Ouija boards, and he doesn't want to work for an occultic place that has Ouija boards. Yeah.
How can it be occultic if...
I reminded him of that recently, and he's very embarrassed by it.
That's very funny. If you're listening,
he is. Shame. But scientists were actually like studying mediums and stuff like that, and a lot of them ended up becoming convinced that it was all like truth and stuff like that in the 19th century. Like they really some of them bought into it and were like,
I'm going to say these legit. Are probably not very good scientists.
No, I don't think so. Because by the end, especially after the one Fox sister came out and said, hey, this is how we did it.
Mm-hmm. This is how we did it.
A lot of people stopped believing it, and it became way less popular. And more and more studies showed how they did it and how all the techniques and the tricks and stuff worked. And
and then TV happened, and everything got back to where it is. To
bullshit. Yeah, because you have people like the was it Manhattan medium? No, Long Island medium.
Yeah. What's the one guy? Uri
Geller in the 70s.
Yeah, he was big.
Yeah, he was huge, and he was less about talking to the dead and more about bending spoons and guessing.
I thought he had a bit of the medium stuff as well.
He did have a bit of that. Yeah, he also talked to the dead.
But we've also talked about James Randi, disproving that stuff as well. So
James Randi, pretty much anyone we mentioned to, if they're still alive or have died recently, James Randi has called them out and said, okay, prove it.
Good.
And none of them have gotten $1 million.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Of course not.
Yeah. And if you're just tuning in now and you don't know who James Randi is, he is a foundation where if you can prove anything supernatural, he will give you $1 million, and he is yet to give out $1 million.
He's been doing this for, I think, almost 40 years now.
Yeah, he started it in the 70s with a $10,000 reward. And
I guess 50 years then.
Yeah.
It is yet to happen. I think, was he the one who found that one pastor was using radio?
Yeah, so he found out Peter Popoff.
Yeah. Was transmitting the information via earpiece to him during the sermons.
Yeah, exactly. And psychics use that same method. It's called hot reading.
Oh, of course.
It's a version of hot reading, which we'll get into as well. But
it's grifting.
Yeah, it's all grifting.
It's about reading people and being able to do quick research and, getting the information you need to make it seem more believable.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love the open-endedness of everything too.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
And if you're listening to what they're saying without being hopeful of what they're saying, it's very easy to spot that. At the same time, I could see how it can be very alluring in something that, when you're grasping at straws and you're looking for that life raft. I mean, and someone's just throwing out stuff.
It's true.
What do you expect people to do?
Exactly. And I think it was Penn and Teller, they did with horoscopes. They gave everybody in a room the same horoscope.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh, it was dead on. It was exactly me. Because people are just wanting that kind of validation.
Yeah. Horoscopes are their own special thing as well. Again, it's just general things that could apply to anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
It's where you look for the things that connect to you and you say, oh, this, you cherry pick what works for you, ignoring everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, that's just what people do. I think that's kind of human nature.
Yeah, I think so.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
We all do it.
We all do it, yeah.
It's just sometimes you have to try and step beyond that.
Yeah. So there's a mental mediumship, and that's where a spirit will talk to you, and you tell people what the spirit talked to you. So that's the mental version of mediumship. So there's no physical mediumship is where you you'll move stuff around and you'll see things.
So the mental ones where they're just like, John is talking to me.
Yeah.
He says he loves you all very much.
Yeah.
He says that he's very comfortable in his new cloud condo. He lives right next door to Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then the physical one is there's a chalkboard and it'll write out something or
the chalkboard will write out something.
Yeah. Have you seen Hereditary? When they have the chalkboard and it writes out what the dead person says or whatever.
Right.
That's an old psychic trick. All the lights are down and everybody thinks that you're holding hands, but really you have a fake hand or you're making them hold each other's hands and they think it's...
You just think this person's got a really fish-like hand.
Yeah.
It's very supple and rubbery.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that movie, Hereditary.
Yeah.
I feel the ending I did not.
Yeah.
I liked it up until the end.
Yeah, same. And then maybe I'll rewatch it and maybe I'll love it, but it just
I think I would too.
Yeah.
I think my problem with it, spoilers,
Spoiler.
it was kind of like that culty supernatural ending to it, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I thought it was much more compelling when it wasn't clear if it was just
it
her
was more
mental
ambiguous. Yeah.
struggles.
Yeah.
And I thought that was more interesting.
Yeah, same. That's that's why I like the Babadook so much. It did leave it at that, it probably was just her mental illness or whatever, or
I've not seen the Babadook.
Oh, sorry for spoiling it, but it was great.
Well, now I'll never see it because I was spoiled.
That's true. There's a clairvoyant. Clairvoyance is when you see things that aren't in the same room as you, so you can see things that are happening on the other side of the world, or you can see things from people's past.
You know what that's called? The news.
The news. Yeah, it's true. Having a Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah. Telecommunications is the new clairvoyance.
That's true. Yeah.
So,
there's clairaudience.
Clairaudience.
So that's like clairvoyance, but instead of seeing things, you're hearing things. Clairvoyance is the TV news. Clairaudience
is satellite radio.
Satellite radio.
That's fair.
What's clairsentience? Oh, that's where you feel things, how other people feel. So clairsentience is you feel. So it's like empathy.
Yeah. This is something that I hear frequently dealing with people who talk about spirits and ghosts and whatever, and they say that I'm very empathetic and I feel like they can change people's emotions and you can sense these things, and people take that as a very energy and spiritual kind of thing.
Yeah,
but I don't. There's nothing to support that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
all you're doing are picking up on cues.
Social.
There are
cues
so
and
many verbal cues, physical cues. Just visual clues that you pick up subconsciously, and you're able to process that and know what's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
It has nothing to do with energy. It has nothing to do with spirits. It's just you doing what a very social animal naturally does instinctively.
Exactly.
That's what our species has evolved to do is to pick up on those cues.
Yeah, like I went into work the other day, and my coworker, who's like usually like, "Hey, how's it going?" was like, "Hey, how are you?" And so I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And so you realize that something's different, and
we are mentally built to recognize patterns.
Yeah,
we're built to recognize these interactions. Like,
Yeah,
you can tell when something is off.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether you know what that is right away or not is irrelevant, and
Yeah.
whether you're conscious of that is irrelevant as well, because you're constantly picking those up, and it has nothing to do with.
Well, and that's what a lot of these mediums are really good at, like picking up on those cues. They'll be dropping a bunch of stuff, and then you react to one thing, and they're going to be like, okay, that's what I'm going to keep fishing with. And I mean, there are some people who are completely oblivious to these things as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, people are pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Just wanted to get that out of the way, because it's definitely something that I hear a lot.
Well, let's talk about some famous mediums.
Uh-huh.
So we got the Fox sisters,
Mm-hmm.
of course. They were the ones that started that whole thing. They, said they saw dead people, but
like
really,
the Sixth Sense.
like the Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but really, they had apples tied to their feet, and they would make tapping noises using apples that were tied to their feet on strings, and then they'd be like, "You hear that? That's ghosts."
Sounds like an apple.
Yeah. There was a famous guy in the 19th century named William Stanton Moses, and he would, do all the classic stuff, levitation, talking to the dead, musical sounds would appear from musical instruments, and he did like automatic writing, which is, where you're in a seance, you just have your pen going, so it's the spirit, making
so like stream of consciousness.
Yeah, exactly.
Free writing.
Yeah, free writing. Yeah. And then in 1910, this guy was born. His name was Francisco or Chico Xavier, and he was a Brazilian medium, and he was on TV a lot, and automatic writing and all the usual. I'm going to talk to
automatic writing feels a lot like speaking in tongues, where it's just like you're just making it up and saying this is significant.
Yeah, this means something. Sylvia Browne, obviously we know Sylvia Browne, famous TV. She would go on all the TV shows and talk shows, and I think there's a really good clip of her on like Maury or something like that, where she completely gets it wrong. Like she's like, "Oh, you're drowning, or your daughter drowned?" Like, no, she was shot. Like, oh, well, the fluid from the I
love that. Is like, is there's someone in your life? It starts name starts with an A, but. They say yes, it was Irene. He's like, I knew it.
Yeah. A lot of times they'll use J because that's a very popular
J
first
is very
name. Like
popular.
you had somebody in your life, letter J, starting with a J. And it's like that applies to both my parents. My parents were John and Jane, so that would work immediately on me.
I have my grandfather was John, and my uncle's name is John.
Yeah.
Two Johns.
And
I have a cousin, John, too.
Yeah.
A lot of Johns.
A lot of Johns. Very popular.
I feel like there's a John I'm missing, and I'm going to be like, oh,
sorry, John.
They're probably not listening, so it's fine.
John Edward, very famous modern day guy.
Mm-hmm. Crossing over
with John Edward. What was that other guy? I didn't write him down. There was another guy that was like at the same time. He had the mustache. It was like
Geraldo?
Yeah, something like that. But he was like, he looked like John Edward was kind of like the cool guy. And then he was like the dad. Oh, it's dad medium.
That's right.
Yeah.
Crossing guard. It's funny when you know what to look for, how easily you can spot these.
Yeah.
I went to a show where it was like a magician doing like a seance kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was a fun show.
Yeah.
But what I found really funny is that before things would happen, you could hear the sound cue starting before it played.
Yeah.
So like, when you like turn on your speakers, there's
little pop.
There's a bit of that noise where or like even when you play a track and there's a bit of silence sometimes, it's not really silent. You're getting that kind of ringtone. I could hear that before most of the sound cues.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, they're going to play a sound cue, and then it would play.
Yeah.
So it's funny, like once you kind of see those things, you see oh, this isn't real.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, they should have been playing ambient music the whole time, and that way you're.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think there was for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But part of it too is that silence and surprise.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't necessarily. This guy, he wasn't necessarily trying to be like ghosts are real.
Yeah.
I think it was more of a fun like ghosts are real,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like let's have fun with this.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it was a good show. I'm not saying that it was trying to prove anything.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that in these kind of things, these are the things that when you really kind of look at it.
Yeah.
The signs are there.
Yeah. Another one was Alison Dubois. Yeah, it is Dubois. Yeah, you're right. She claimed that she worked with the police a lot.
Oh, one of those ones.
Yeah, and the TV show Medium is based on her.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wasn't it? Didn't they do that in The Simpsons where they had a medium helping them and she took them in like the complete wrong
They
direction?
did,
Like they were like right next door and they're like, I think they're in Shelbyville or something like that.
She's been debunked so many times too. Like police are like, no, we don't work with mediums. Like some of them do, which is scary. But
that's
like,
crazy that's why. Like how desperate you have to be like, let's get someone who pretends to talk to dead people.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times these people too, not necessarily her, but the ones that would claim to work with the police, it's less that they're working with the police and more that they're reaching out to the family.
Yeah, and the families. Wasn't there one? I remember recently. It might have been one of the people you talked about who went on a show and was saying like your sister, like your mother-in-law or whatever, she's in a better place. She's happy now.
Yeah, it was Sylvia Browne. Yeah,
right. And that she was dead, and then they found her like a year later.
Yeah, like,
and she was like, it's like I was alive this whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, she was like, was it like Elizabeth Smart or somebody like that who was kidnapped and then was found later, and she was just like, it was like a room situation where she was just like,
how horrible is that? Like to have someone say like, nope, she's dead, and then you're already distressed, and then you think like, is she dead? Like, do I believe this?
And then the thing is, statistically, she was more likely to be dead at that point. So she's probably thinking, oh, I'm gonna tell them the truth, and then they'll be able to move on or whatever. But if you had psychic abilities, if that was actually a real thing, then you'd be like the one person who would know that she wasn't dead.
See, what I found interesting was you went the assumption that I'm going to tell them the truth and help them move on.
Yeah.
Which I don't think that was her intention at all.
Not.
I think her intention was, I'm going to tell them this because it's probably right.
Yeah.
And they'll believe me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they'll believe me. I'll get money. It'll be on TV. Yeah. Years later, they'll find the body and they'll show that I was right the whole time.
And I know it doesn't seem like a big distinction, but I think that's the crux of the thing there.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I don't think most of these people are trying to help people.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, actually, speaking of which, Mark Edward he worked for like psychic hotlines or whatever.
Like Miss Cleo?
Yeah.
Call me now?
Yeah, pretty much like that, but like in the 70s.
Yeah.
But he, it was just like a job for him, but he hated it so much because of how predatory that stuff was.
Of course.
And they would have to get like their birthdays, and they had like a database of all this stuff. So, these people are going to be repeat callers, and then all of a sudden like, oh, we know all this stuff about you. And they also would like harass them with like mail outs and
I'm
stuff
not
like
surprised
that.
by that.
Yeah. So he started writing into like skeptic magazines and stuff like that, like exposing all their tricks. And then he went on like a tour as a medium, but then would like expose
that's a way to get some credibility though, is to say like, listen, I pointed out all the phonies, I'm the real deal.
Oh no, but he would and then say this is how they do it. Like he was so he's not really like, I put him in the list of known mediums, but he's very much like a skeptic, and
right. Okay.
Now his whole life is about exposing mediums, and like any chance he gets to expose how they do their tricks and how he's been on Penn and Teller's bullshit. He did Adam Ruins Everything.
Yep.
And he which is a good episode to watch, the one about mediums. Like, I'll
have to check it out.
And so he's the good one, and no relation to John Edward, because Mark Edward, it's actually his last name. And
I think that's
John
why I was
Edward.
confused for a second there.
Yeah.
I just get confused easily.
Me too. John Edward's real name is John Edward McGee. Jr. Yeah. Like McGee and Me. You ever watch McGee and Me?
No.
Okay. It was a Christian TV show.
Was it like Marley and Me, but
Sort of less dog, more cartoon character friend. But yeah, pretty much the same idea. Yeah.
Right.
I don't think he ever died. Maybe as he grew up in his imagination, because he was like a figment of his imagination.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Trevor, have you ever experienced a medium yourself?
No. One time I was walking through the mall and there's a psychic and they said, "You want to get your palm read or whatever?" And I said, "No, I already know my future. It's in the Bible."
So in a way, you have seen a psychic.
Yeah.
The Bible.
The Bible. Yeah. Hey, everybody. We're about to get started, but before that, we have an ad.
Yes, this week's episode is presented by Eternal Confidence, an interview series by Homesick Productions, now available on YouTube.
Yes, Eternal Confidence explores what we believe and why. It features interviews with people of faith as well as people who left their faith behind.
It's kind of like what we do, but probably more serious.
Yeah, it's true. I liked the vibe they gave off. I thought it was very similar to I think what we're going for. They're not biased.
Yeah.
We kind of are, but still try to like show that here's another.
I'm fine being biased. Eternal Confidence brings an unbiased perspective, taking a no stance, thereby inviting the audience to respond to the various narratives with their own beliefs. That's great. I mean, it's nice to have an unbiased look at these things.
Yeah,
we try and be impartial, but we don't always succeed.
I think what we're trying to do is like, hey, we're trying not to be biased, but here's our biases, but they're like, I really liked they did that one where it was the minister father talking to their gay pagan daughter, and that was I
really enjoyed that one, and they're focused on being both empathetic and honest, and it's a candid look at genuine beliefs, and it helps people explore their own belief system, as well as the other side.
Yeah, go check them out. Let them know that hey, believe it or not, send us.
Yeah, and they're just starting their second season, so
yeah,
I mean, go check it out. There's a whole season to start with,
and then
if you like it,
watch
season 2.
Watch season 1. Watch season 2. And then, check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. If you're into this show, I think you'll be into that.
And hey, when you go check it out, leaving your comment that Believe It or Not sent you, because that's good for everyone. But mostly yes.
But no, I've never gone to a psychic. I think it'd be kind of interesting to do it for like the podcast.
Yeah, for pseudoscientific reasons.
Yeah. What about you? Have you ever been to a medium?
I haven't been to one, but we did interview one on my other podcast that I do, Spook.
Yes.
And that was an adventure.
Yeah.
I was not fully on board for it.
Yeah.
To begin with.
Yeah.
And then we took a step back. It's like, it's a comedy podcast. It's fine. We're gonna have fun with it. It's okay.
Yeah.
And I feel because I kind of had a blow up beforehand, I was a lot more reserved during the actual thing. Like the guy, he was a nice enough guy, but it was just a lot of stuff that I'm just like, take a listen to it if you can. It's we'll post a link.
Yeah, we'll post a link. Yeah. Cody was asking me how I would do it if I was hosting that episode, and I couldn't. I don't think I could. I feel like I would get too angry.
It was hard. It was hard not to.
Yeah.
It got to a point where I did kind of start lashing back a bit more.
Didn't he call you arrogant? Or something like that?
Oh, he said if it was something along the lines of if you can't see that there's something else out there or something spiritual, then you're pretty ignorant or something.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then I said, well, if you think you understand that, then that's pretty arrogant.
Oh, right, nice, yeah.
So.
I love that Eric Andrews was the
Yes.
the guest host of that episode too,
Another
because
boy.
he's just buys right into it.
He loves that stuff, man. That's great.
Great.
Man. Yes, and he made a few predictions for us.
Yeah.
None of which have happened.
Yeah.
He had timelines for them too.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. So yes.
Yeah.
The one was he was saying that my car door would not open or it would be broken or something within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And this was several months ago. Nothing happened.
And I love that their minds were blown immediately that you were the only one with a car.
Yes.
And you're the one he said that to.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, but a lot of people have cars.
My thing was too, if I'd have said I don't have a car, he would have been like, or you're getting into a car or
Yeah.
you're trying to do a car.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
You start with this either or thing.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they say I don't have that, he's just like, okay, so then it must be this.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's all it
Yeah.
would have been. And
That's all it
I
would have
said that right away when we were doing it. But they're like, but you have a car? You have a car? Really? This could happen to you. It's like, no,
Yeah.
it won't happen to me. And then his other one was that I would see someone I haven't seen in like a long, long time, maybe 10 years on a street corner. And they would say hi to me. I'm like, what? Okay. So I might run into somebody that I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah. But you might have.
But I might have.
And if you did,
I would have been like,
and
wow.
yeah, exactly. And you weren't already a skeptic,
Yeah.
it would have blown your mind. If you didn't,
But why would it blow my mind? Like, honestly, have you ever ran into someone that you haven't seen in a long time?
yeah. Actually, a friend I went to college with, neither of us knew that we were both living in Toronto now, and we ran into each other on the street corner. It was very nice. We had a very nice chat.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
I ran into someone, this was a few years ago, but I ran into someone that I went to high school with that I hadn't seen in like 10 years.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're going to, unless you're in different countries or whatever, for whatever reason, you're probably going to see somebody.
It's true. Yeah.
It's just chance. It's just, it doesn't matter.
My friend was on vacation with his wife and kids, and then they ran into his wife's ex-husband randomly while they were on vacation. Like how it's just strange. But
I gotta wonder if it really was random, and maybe
it's like a Three's Company situation.
He was like, I know where they're going, and I'm gonna win her back on vacation.
Oh, it's like a you situation. That show You.
I'm betting that's probably
what it was.
It's just like, they're going to the Dominican. I'm gonna be there, and then I'm gonna be like, hey, you guys go to the Dominican too?
Oh, weird.
What? This is so crazy.
Totally random.
Are you here from the 12th to the 26th as well? What?
Are you staying in room 355?
I'm in room 354. Room buddies. Let's open up the joining doors and we can just like go back and forth. Wouldn't that be crazy?
And that's what happened.
I bet it is. If it's not, I don't want to hear it.
Then I don't want to hear it. Exactly. So there's the Barnum effect, right?
Like P.T. Barnum.
P.T. Barnum.
Every minute a sucker's born or something like that.
Exactly. Our natural tendency to like find significance and personal significance in things that don't have personal significance.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's like the one time I really wanted to ask a girl out, and I was really getting up the nerve, and a song started playing about just going for it, like whatever. And so I just went for it, and she said no. And I thought at the time, this is a sign. This is a sign that this is what I need to do. It's like, no, it's
coincidence.
It's a coincidence. And I personally just needed to like think there's some outside reason. So I made myself believe there was an outside reason, and there was not.
Plus, most music is about love and falling in love and finding the girl or whatever.
Yeah.
The probability is very high that you would have found something that would have been like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it was like, she fucking hates me. Or something.
Yeah, exactly. That started playing and be like, no, that's not relevant.
No, she doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, and so like that's like with cold reading too. So you're just like, especially it works if it's a medium talking to a large group of people, and if you start saying somebody lost somebody whose name started with T or J or whatever,
one
there's
person
gonna be somebody in there. And then you add to that like, oh, there was something in the chest. They died of something either in the chest or they had trouble breathing.
Something in the chest.
So that's, it could be lung cancer, it could be heart failure. Most people, before they die, they stop breathing. Like that's pretty common. So like all you have to do is get it back to, well, they weren't breathing anymore.
I think heart disease is one of the leading causes of death in North America.
Exactly.
You know, heart attack and stroke.
Yeah.
Lung problems, bronchitis. If you smoke, you're fucked.
Yeah, exactly.
So vague. That's just like, I think that like there was something in their torso.
Yeah.
You mean where all the organs are, where everything bad that can happen is?
Well, it's funny, like the Adam Ruins Everything episode, where they add a medium, and I was watching it last night, and it was funny because it was like, you lost somebody whose name started with a J, which applies to me. Like that's my dad and my mom. And then there was something to do with the chest. My dad died of lung cancer. Done. And so that would have applied to me. And then she goes, there was something to do with the book, and which is a very vague thing, but I could have easily applied that to the fact that one of our last memories is like me trying to get him to figure out how to use his ebook. Yeah, like that could have been.
I mean, the same thing for me.
Yeah,
I lost someone with a J, and it was, you could say it was chest. It was lymphoma and throat cancer, esophageal. Yeah, same kind of idea.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
book. I mean, my grandfather, we were always like sharing books. Like, I would give him books to read. He would give me books to read all the time too. It's like, it's so broad and open.
So broad,
and you can find ways to make that work.
Yeah, exactly. And then as soon as you're like responding to that, they can build off whatever you respond to, and then their shotgunning really is like you just say a bunch of stuff and then respond to whatever fits.
But even that way too, like it's not even necessarily the case too. Like I just said that it works for me too. But my grandfather didn't actually pass away from that thing too. It was something else. It's a long story. Yeah. Regardless, but my first thing was like, oh, that's like that too.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though
that's
necessarily
not what it
wasn't.
Yeah.
But you're jumping to those conclusions.
Exactly. Yeah.
It fits. In a way.
Yeah. And and then of course there's hot reading, which I think, I mean, they're all sinister. The whole thing is sinister.
Have a very sexy medium. And you're like, and you believe anything they say?
Yeah, exactly. It's like in Mallrats. Have you seen Mallrats?
Yeah.
How the psychic has, it's like the topless psychic, and she has the third nipple.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a hot reading. Am I right?
Right.
I'm going to keep that whole silence. Actually, warm reading comes before hot reading, and that's a combination where you know a little bit.
Yeah, you just keep it warm until you're ready for it.
I think it's. I think of the psychic at the beginning of Wizard of Oz. You know, when she goes to see and he like steals
Professor Marvel.
Is it Professor Marvel?
I think it's Professor Marvel.
Oh, that's great. And then like he takes the picture out and like uses that to be like, there's a woman that, so he knows kind of like.
Yeah, he's a huckster.
Yeah, exactly.
But that plays in later in the film.
That does, yeah.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
He is the wizard.
Yeah, magic isn't real. Spoilers.
That's right. It was all a dream.
It was a dream.
It was all a dream.
And they did that because in the book it wasn't a dream, but in the movie they made it a dream because they thought that would sell better because fantasy wasn't selling as well.
That's true, and there's no place like home.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. And then but a hot reading is basically, it's like the Peter Popoff thing. You have a earpiece in your ear, and someone's giving you information,
feeding it to you.
Yeah, like on the show The Leftovers, there's a whole plot point about somebody who they just Google people, and his wife's in another room, and they're like just giving that information. But
that was we were watching. Oh shit! I don't know what it was called. It's like a game show that they do on YouTube, where each episode is different, so the contestants don't know how to play.
Oh, okay.
And this one, they had to answer questions, and the machine would tell them if they were right or not. And the thing that was making the machine work was their significant others were in another room. And they were answering for the machine. So, but they didn't know that.
They didn't know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's kind of like that.
That's a bit of a hot read, I guess.
There was a video on YouTube.com, and it was from a like a news thing or whatever. They did a fake history of a building where the owner had died. The owner in the 1800s had been trampled by horses after they got out of the stables, but that didn't happen. That was just a made up thing. But they put it on the website, and they put up a thing in in the hotel, like with a picture of the made up owner and stuff.
Yeah.
And they did a full fake history on the website, and then they hired mediums to come in and like do a reading, and they all told the same story.
That's my thing about most ghost stories as well, especially with like ones associated to places, is that you can just make this stuff up.
Yeah.
People don't look into it. There's not really any way to verify that it's been you can, I suppose, but I mean, I know people who've done like haunted walk tours and things like that.
Yeah.
And everyone who's ever done them says like, yeah, we made up half of the stuff we told people.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's all it is.
That's all it is.
That's all it takes.
There was, I think it was This American Life. They had a story about a hotel that was haunted by the owner, but the owner owned multiple hotels. So then they went to the other ones, and they were also haunted by him. Like the same guy was like, that's a busy ghost.
That is a busy ghost. I mean, I guess you got a lot of free time.
That's true. Yeah. It's like on Seinfeld, where it's like, really, you think you're dead now, you can go anywhere in the universe, and you're just going to go to a baseball game, or you're going to go to your own funeral? Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Although I would go to my own funeral if I could.
Would you?
Oh yeah, I want to see what I want everyone to be sad.
I don't know if I want a funeral.
Yeah, actually, I don't think I do.
Yeah.
Although I do want people to maybe get together and have drinks and talk about it.
I think that's important, but I don't think the whole funeral thing is productive.
Although I do, and I do really want this to happen, so maybe I have to have a funeral for it. Mm-hmm. But I want my friends to point at my open casket and say, "Well, your funeral."
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's
and
fair.
that would be good. So I think I'd have to have a funeral just for that.
Yeah.
But unless I just don't find that joke funny anymore by the time I die, and then
I just want the hearse to arrive an hour late, and I'm like, late for his own funeral. No, but I part of the reason I don't want a funeral, like I don't. I just toss me in the backyard. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Drop me in the garbage can out front, curbside pickup. Doesn't matter. Once you're dead, you're dead. It's fine.
Yeah.
Why burden your family with all these added expenses?
That's the thing. The death industry is huge. Like just how much money they like.
I mean, I understand the side of helping people grieve. Yes, I do. But everything else is just too much.
Yeah. And the thing is too, like your funeral's usually 2 days, 3 days after you die. You're not getting a life insurance paid out that fast. No. So everything's out of pocket and everything's just going on credit or whatever. And then eventually you can pay it off. Yeah. But and then a lot of people just don't have life insurance. And also life insurance could be going to just helping you start over.
Yeah. Well, I got a hand crank meat grinder in the closet. So when I pass, just
put me in there.
Just grind me up. Make me in the sausages and I don't know. feed me to people at the ball game.
When Homer thought he was going to die and he's like, "No, Marge, you're going to want to remarry." And she's like, "No, I couldn't even think of that." I know. That's why I want you to stuff me and put me on the couch as a constant reminder.
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, that'd be all right.
Being taxidermy.
Yeah. I think that's all I have to say about mediums.
Yeah.
I don't have a segment today besides... just to say that we're going to now go to an interview.
Oh, yes. I mean, an interview is like a segment.
I guess it's its own segment.
It is its own segment.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. We have with us David Warnock. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
Okay, great. That should have been something we asked before. So you've been going around talking about dying out loud. What is that?
Well, it's me talking about my story, essentially, and a big part of that is, I always say, we call it dying out loud, but I really talk more about living out loud. Essentially is living your best days, your best life. I'm facing a terminal illness, so as I look at that and realize my days are numbered, my time is short, it helps me focus my attention on the things that matter, and the things I talk about.
Yeah, we've always talked about on this podcast. I don't remember where I got it from, maybe Matt Delahunty or something. But you don't have to not enjoy the party because there might be a better after party. Right. Yeah, like living.
Well, that speaks to a part of the issue, a part of the whole thing I do talk about, because I have a history in evangelical Christianity and was a Christian for 37 years and a pastor much of those years. And my view of life was just that this is kind of a warm-up party, and the real party is afterwards. And so that causes us to minimize what we have now and to overlook it in many ways. Whereas when you realize that this is the one thing we have, the one shot we get, it causes you to say, okay, well, let me make sure I do this right then,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I find that's a worrying thing, especially in today's political landscape, where there are a lot of people in power with those kind of views, where you're minimizing the importance of this life. And I don't know if those are the kind of people we want making policy.
Yeah, it's true.
Hell no. They'll celebrate the coronavirus because they think it's going to get us to Armageddon quicker. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, it's insane.
Sorry.
That's all right.
We could call it a prayer.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting. Like, I lost my dad in December, and he went full like God at the end. Like, this is like his last kind of thing when he knew he didn't have much time left, was he's going to try to convert as many people as possible so that he can see them all again. And so that's kind of, I don't know, a different approach. And I wonder if you have people in your life that just expected that with this diagnosis and stuff, that it would make you turn back to God and kind of go full force with that kind of like, okay, now I'm going to make sure I get into heaven and see you all again.
Like I say, okay, God, just kidding about that atheist thing.
Yeah.
Let's make up.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm sure there are some people out there who've thought, yeah, that's maybe what's going to happen, but no one has said it to me personally, so I don't really know if that's in their thinking or not. I think most people that know me well enough to say something like that to me know me well enough to know that I'm serious about this shit.
Mm-hmm.
I let go of Christianity a long time ago, and they probably know that I'm not anywhere near coming back to that thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, some people do think stuff like that God visits you with these kind of diseases to get your attention and that kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of a dick God, I'd say. Like,
well, he is a dick God. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always seems like, don't you think that a truly benevolent deity would want you to be the best person you can be, rather than trying to do all these arbitrary rules that they set up for you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
many times that if someone could prove to me that the God of the Bible was real, I still wouldn't worship him, because he's really a dick. He's if the Bible is true about what he is and who he is, then no thanks.
Yeah. Yes, actually, somebody asked me recently, like, what would it take for you to believe in God again? And I responded with, I'm not sure, but it's going to take a lot more for me to worship that God. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was looking on your YouTube channel the other day, and you just hit a year of since your diagnosis, and it just seems like it's been a whirlwind of a tour.
It has been a crazy year. I didn't see this coming, obviously, and even after the diagnosis, I was a few weeks removed from that when we started talking on podcasts and booking speaking gigs, and it just sort of snowballed and became a thing with all kinds of stuff surrounding it, and we just decided to kind of roll with it, and it's been a very gratifying thing, because it seems like it's reaching a lot of people in ways that really matter, and it's given me a purpose and meaning in ways that I can spend my time and energy. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a full-time job. In essence, I get up every day and I do this stuff, and it's really enriching, to be honest with you.
I think that's such an important thing, especially dealing with an illness, is to have that kind of sense of purpose and meaning, right? And how have you been feeling since the diagnosis? Like, how's it?
Well, yeah, mine is the thing about ALS is that it's different with every person. Their progression is different. Their symptoms are different. It's in different parts of the body. Mine has been in my fingers and arms and hands, and that's where my weakness is. The good thing about this thing is there's not a lot of pain associated with it. There's no flurry of doctor visits and things because they don't really have anything they can do for you. So it's just pretty much you live your life the best you can and manage. Mine has really gone fairly slowly, which we didn't know at the time. When I got the diagnosis a year ago, I thought, hell, I could be dead in a year. I could be in a wheelchair, so I'm going to live it up. And so it's been very slow, and I'm doing okay, in all things considered.
That's great. Yeah. I think we have a lot of parallels. I was a youth pastor actually before I lost my faith, and it was I feel like it was a very slow process. Were you still a pastor when you were like doubting, or was it like kind of after you had kind of left the ministry and stuff and you walked away, or was it like throughout?
I was already out of the ministry. I was working in the insurance business, which is what I did for the last 10 years. And I began a process of evaluating things over the course of a year. It was the better part of a year and a half, from 2009 to 2010, where I'd kind of had enough of things just not looking like there was a God involved. And I got really tired of making excuses for his absence and invisibility and silence. And so I started really investigating what it was all about for the first time in my life, sadly. And it just came up lacking sorely. And I realized that, it wasn't a decision I made. It was more of a conclusion I came to after examining the evidence. But it was a process of time that led me down that road.
Yeah. I also saw in another interview, you're in the Jesus Freak movement?
Yeah, boy, I was a Jesus freak, yeah.
Yeah, that was our second episode of Believe It or Not, we talked about the Jesus Freaks. Really? It was, I don't know, it seems like a very interesting movement with a lot of crazy things that went on.
Yeah.
What was your involvement with that?
Well, it was just in the mid-'70s, people were getting caught up in the emotion. It kind of followed the hippie movement where it was countercultural in so many ways, and it's this idea that God wasn't found in the churches because the churches were all dead. So we were finding him in coffee houses and home groups and street ministry and things like that. And it was completely countercultural and long hair and bell-bottom blue jeans and all of that. And so there was this just an emotional wave that you kind of got caught up in, and I was caught up in that. I was kind of a victim of that because it was reaching out to people who were disillusioned or confused or vulnerable or all of the above, and it was something that was very appealing because it was this groundswell of emotional involvement with people that were young people and anti-establishment and all that stuff. So we didn't, we went to churches. The first few years of my salvation, if you will, we were going to churches to bring life to them. We'd go in and the pastors would love it because these Jesus freaks were here and would bring a little energy into the church, and that was happening all the time. It was kind of a weird, looking back on it, it's just really strange.
Yeah. Well, and then that builds that, like, when you have all that emotional connection to it and that full like energy, it's like you're almost self-proving that there's like something to it. You're like, you're creating that energy and that excitement, and then it's like that's confirming to yourself that this is real and this has something from God. And I was involved a little bit more in like the progressive church and stuff like that, and as much as I'm glad they're doing like important things, like as far as like changing the church and stuff, it was still kind of boring.
Well, you create your own excitement. I'm writing a book about my story, and I've been reliving some of those early years as I write about it, and I realized, man, we just kind of we'd go into a young people's meeting that we had every week at a house, and there wasn't anything going on. You walked into the house, a bunch of young people were sitting around grinning at each other and going, hallelujah, praise the Lord. and there was nothing there, in essence, to be excited about, except that we just kind of created our own excitement.
Yeah.
We were excited about being excited.
Yeah.
Awesome. So when's that book coming out?
Yeah, geez, I am way behind. I'm hoping to have it out by the end of this year. I was really enthusiastic about it and a little bit naive, thinking I could get it done by the end of last year, but I've traveled so much last year, and I'm traveling so much this year still, that it just is really cut into my writing time. So
yeah, I was just talking to Damien here about, sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
I'm writing a play right now, and it's the same thing where you keep giving yourself these deadlines and stuff, and it's like, I can do this, and sorry.
No, it's silly, and I don't know why I do that to myself. I just, every time someone asks, I was at a meeting last week, and the first question at Q&A was, when is your good book going to be out? And I just kind of groaned. I don't know.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, like I said, it's just going to be a short interview today, but Damien, do you have any final questions?
No, I think we got most of what we wanted to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really great talking with you. I think it's great what you are doing, and that you're talking to people who maybe need to hear someone say the things that you say.
Yeah, I think it's really important.
Especially those people who are really on the fence and they're not really sure where they stand, right?
Yeah.
No, it's I've been very thankful for the opportunity to talk to people. If people want to follow along, you can put my website on the show notes or anything.
Oh, for sure.
DaveOutloud.com, and they can connect with, pull up my calendar, see where I'm going to be. If they're in the area, come hear me talk or meet me. I love meeting people that I've connected with online. It's always fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Really appreciate you coming on and talking with us today. This has been really great.
Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, this is Trevor. I realized that me and Damien didn't record an outro for this episode, so I'll just do it. I want to thank Dave Warnock for coming on and talking to us and telling his story and his journey, and I really appreciate that, and I think you should check out everything he's doing because I'm fascinated by him and inspired by him very much. I also want to thank all of you for sticking with us for 50 episodes. This is episode 50. Can you believe that? I can't believe that. No, I can't believe that. Anyways, thank you so much. Like and subscribe if you liked it. Tell your friends about us. If you have that one friend who's maybe leaving religion or is just interested in religion, let them know about us. And thank you so much. I love talking to y'all online and on Instagram and all that stuff. And keep reaching out. It's been an incredible journey, and I've loved every minute of it. Thank you so much. Love you so much. Bye-bye.
Work, Sky Moon.